In this video, we will take a look at scatter plots and how to create them in Desmos. The first thing when you get to the Desmos.com calculator, you need to sign in, and you can do that with Google just by clicking sign in and then sign in with Google. You may need to authorize your school Google account. You can also create a graph and give it a title. This will allow you to share this graph later, so we can do this as just scatter plot example. So we'll save that there. We can then add additional objects and to create our scatter plot. So the first thing we'll do here is to draw a scatter plot from the data and then sketch a trend line to decide if the graph has a positive or negative linear correlation. Then we'll state the equation that represents that trend line. The first thing we want to do here is take a look at our domain and range. Notice that our domain goes from values positive values up to about 10. Same thing for our range. So we can go to graph settings and set our graph to go from 0 to 10. We can use our step as 1. And then similarly we can go from 0 to 10 on the y-axis as well. At this point, it does not matter whether you're in radians or degrees. And this is also where we can go to add a label. When we start working with some more real-world cases, we can add labels to our graph. Here I can just label them x-axis and then y-axis. We can then insert a table by clicking the plus with the drop down and then table. Note here that we are being given x1 and y1, and we're going to simply copy this table from the problem, the Word document, into the table over here. So our x value is 2, y is 8, 4, 5, 8, 2, 6, 4, 1, 9, 3, 6, 5, 5, and 4, 4. So now we have this scatter plot. We can hide this list, and this will expand our graph a little bit more for us there, so that we can take a look at that. And then we can get the list back. So that's how we can create our scatter plot. Then the next part in our scatter plot is to sketch the trend line and decide if the graph has a positive or negative linear correlation. To graph a trend line in Desmos, we need to call back upon this table. So we need to use y1 so that we can it knows to go back to that list of elements above. We're not going to give it an equals. We want it to approximate, so we're going to use the tilde. This can be found on your keyboard by hitting Shift and then the button above the tab and to the left of the number 1. Here we're looking for a line. Slope-intercept of a line is y equals mx plus b. So we will do a x1 plus b. So we want to make sure that we are including that value, and then we can actually graph different types of equations by doing this and putting in that standard form. But let's take a look at what it gives us here. It's going to give us back an r squared. It's going to give us back residuals that we could plot if we chose. And it's going to give us parameters. And the parameters are what we really want to look at here. These parameters are the values that we're being given for A and B. So that's telling us that this line of best fit, our line in this case is going to be of this form using those values. So our equation here is y equals negative 0.956989 x plus 9.32258. That is going to give us the best line to approximate this data. Does this have a positive or negative correlation? Well, there are a couple of different ways to look at this. One is that as our slope of our line, as we move from left to right, our line goes down. So that represents a negative linear correlation. Additionally, by looking at our slope, we see here that the coefficient on x is negative, which also suggests a negative relationship. So this is the equation that represents the trend line, and we could have typed this directly into Desmos, and it will graph it for us in a different color. Oh, looks like I made a mistype there. Alright, so this will cover, this purplish blue graph will cover the red graph completely because it is our graph. So if then you were being asked to turn this in, you would just leave it this way. Note that the name is here. We're going to save this. Make sure that it's completely saved. And then there is a button here that says Share Graph. You can share it with a link, export the image, or embed it. What you're going to want to do is just to share this link. So you can copy that. It will have a check mark once you've hit copy. Then you can go to your email and paste that link, and that should allow me to see your graph.